Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another off-season review slash upcoming season preview. Today's team of choice is the Denver Nuggets. For those listening on Spotify or Apple, there is a corresponding video aspect that goes along with all of our NBA previews. So if you'd like to check it out on YouTube, so you can switch over now, youtube.com/hustleandhoops. If you're going there, welcome to the preview of the Denver Nuggets. This is a team that's near and dear to my heart. That's because of one man, Mr. MVP, Mr. Two-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. He has been my favorite player long before it was cool. I started the bandwagon, okay? Like, no one else liked him before me. Like, literally no one. I'm pretty convinced. It was probably, we were juniors in high school. It was like 4 years ago at this point. I recognized his game. I can't like call you three out. I don't know what the conversations were like when I said, like, yeah, this dude's my favorite player, because like he was still like flying under the radar. The Nuggets hadn't made the playoffs yet with him. But he was doing things that other players weren't. He's a center who could do it all, except the defense was a little lackluster at the time, but his offensive skills, he was the best ball handling big. He was the best passing big. He could shoot the three ball. He pulled shit out of his bag that no other center was pulling out at the time. In an era where the center was said to be dying, he was bringing it back. Fast forward 4 years, he's got 2 MVPs to show for it. 3 NBA playoff series wins, and looking to add more trophies to his collection. He is still one of the most disrespected players in the NBA, even after winning 2 MVPs. He probably won't win a third just because of voter fatigue, but that's not to say he won't have an NBA MVP caliber season this upcoming season. But Big Honey, Joker, MVP. He's the centerpiece. There's a lot more pieces around him. And before we get started on those other pieces around him, which are going to be great, welcome to my co-hosts. My fantastic co-host, Dove, as always,
What's
doing
up, y'all?
well.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
good. We're good.
Jack,
Hello, hello. This is the first time I've heard Big Honey.
Big Honey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell the origin story of the Big Honey nickname in a second, but JD,
What's going on? Great
sleepyhead.
intro.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
intro.
Thank you. So number one, obviously, the centerpiece, the MVP, Nikola Jokic, the Joker, Mr. MVP, Mr. Two-time MVP, or Big Honey, a nickname given to him by, I believe, Richard Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken, when he was briefly on the Nuggets.
What does this sound?
Joker does not like it. He does not like it. He is not a fan of that nickname for obvious reasons. I think some people around the league call him that, mainly former teammates, but there's a reason it didn't stick, because Joker didn't want it to stick, and what Joker says goes. Okay, but I don't think we really have to talk about the Joker too much. I think we're really here to talk about pieces 2 and 3 of that supporting cast. And we'll start with number 2 on the list, Jamal Murray. And the question right off the rip is, how long will it take for Jamal Murray to be back to where he was skill-wise when he got hurt that fateful night in the Chase Center over a year and a half ago? So, JD, start with you. I know you like Jamal Murray. You watched him back in Kentucky. You've seen him blossom. So how quickly will he return to that form that we've seen?
I mean, no, I don't think anybody can tell an exact time frame.
That's why I'm asking you.
But
you gotta speculate here.
yeah, I think to speculate, I would say you have to play it safe. He's been out for so long now, so I would say keep him out until he's absolutely 100%, and he's gonna be productive when you put him in there. And then when he gets out there, obviously for the first couple games, you have him on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
And you're making sure that he's good and he's not putting himself in positions to re-injure it or anything like that. Like, he's been out for so long now and he's such a core piece. You want him to really rehab it correctly at the ending and just make sure that he's good. So I would say if I'm the Nuggets, I'm not rushing anything right now. Like
That's fair.
if he's there to start the season, that's great. But if he's not, then that sucks. And
Yeah,
you're probably gonna have to start Ish or a Bones.
but yeah, you
So
can't rush
yeah,
time. You can't rush greatness. Do either of you
yeah.
disagree with that statement that maybe they should be putting him in, maybe they want a higher seed in the regular season, or you just wait, keep him on like 20 minutes a game, even like to start, like hold him, only play every other game. Like, what do you guys think, Jack?
I mean, how long has he been out now?
He got injured in April of last season, not or like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how he feels, but like, yeah, I
Basically.
like the minutes restriction thing, and like, I don't know, I don't know how he feels, so I can't really speculate on that.
I mean, you
You know.
think he's gonna, like, do you think he's capable? Like, we've seen people come back from injuries. Do you think a healthy Jamal Murray, like, they're not going to miss a beat? Like we saw Joker and Murray were becoming one of the most dynamic duos. Do you think like it's right away back to that, or you think it's going to take time, even when Jamal Murray's back on the floor, for them to really like have that synergy again?
I mean, it all depends on how healthy he is, and I don't know how healthy he is.
I mean,
I just can't
hypothetically, he is
really.
healthy.
Hypothetically, he's healthy, then
like is
they're
that right
top,
away, or like is
like,
that
not right away.
like even yeah? That's what I'm asking. Like,
Yeah, I don't think it's right away. Give him minutes restriction, work him back into it, and once he gets back there, this team is going to be right back where they were, like a
sky's the limit.
contender, a real contender.
All right, Dove. Thoughts on Jamal Murray? We've seen him struggle to come back from this injury, but he wants to come back 100%. Do we see 100%? Like,
I think that's a good question. I
what
mean,
does
I think
100% look like?
that's kind of where my mind was going. You know, you think of where Jamal Murray was most impactful for the Nuggets, and that was in the playoffs. That was in those 7-game series where he could just go nuts in a matchup and just absolutely dominate. And, you know, he's not necessarily in the past been the guy to do it like game after game, series after series per se, but I'm curious if the stuff we saw in that Jazz series where it's, you know, 30, 40, 50, 50, whatever pieces every single night, is he physically capable of doing that? You know, you put in 40 minutes a game one night. Can you come back 2 nights later and do that same thing? Not necessarily drop 52 nights in a row, but like, can you give the same offensive effort, not necessarily production, but effort each night in and out, you know, after, let's say, like a 40, 35 game season for you? Because we're not expecting him
People
to
are
come back
expecting
ASAP.
50 to 60 games out of him.
That's fair.
I think there's a very good chance he's in the day one starting lineup. Having said that, he might only be playing like 18 to 22 minutes in that game.
I mean, realistically, all I can say about his return is I'm just super excited for that Twitter notification that lets us know that he's been assigned to the Grand Rapids Gold. That'll be a fun day for Nuggets fans and just NBA fans in general. I mean, he's a bucket getter.
Should we drive up to Grand Rapids and go watch a game?
You'd be in
wouldn't,
for one.
you know.
We can have
Maybe
our
there for
first
like a
Hustle and
practice
Hoops
or two.
meetup with all of our fans.
All of our
And
fans.
go all the way to Grand Rapids to do it.
Meet us there, fans.
Yeah, so let's move on to the number 3 max contract on the Denver Nuggets. Someone who played, I believe it was 9 games last year. Back surgery for the 2nd time in his professional career. Everyone knows him. Some people love him. Michael Porter Jr. Can Michael Porter Jr. We know he's not going to be able to stay healthy. We know he's never going to play an 82 game season in his entire career. Like, that's just not going to happen. But when he is on the court, what's his max potential? Like, can he be a third superstar, like a third star even, like on this team? Jack, what do you think like Michael Porter Jr.'s like max potential is next to Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, because we barely even got to see it in his career. Like there hasn't been a lot of playing time between all three of them.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking it that he should not have gotten the max, but he got it. When he plays, he's a stud, but it's another one of those things. It's like if he's healthy, they're gonna be good. If he's not healthy, then they're still gonna be good, but not.
You're missing. They're always going to be missing something.
They're always gonna be missing something. So it's just you can never tell with someone like this who's injured all of the time. It's like a Zion. Like if he plays, he's going to be good. We've seen it. He's very good talent, but got to stay healthy.
I got a question for Duval. We'll throw a little hockey reference in there. We know Nikita Kucherov has stayed on the long-term injured reserve for the Lightning before. But he seems to be pretty healthy, because then he comes back for the playoffs and he's all ready. Now, for people who don't know, for non-hockey fans, the NHL is a loophole where you can put players on the long-term injured reserve and they don't count against your cap space. So you can throw guys with a $15 million cap hit on the long-term injured reserve and then sign guys worth $15 million or trade for guys worth $15 million. And then when the playoffs come, there's no salary cap. So you can just activate them. Would you take that approach with Michael Porter Jr., Duve? Would you like just kind of play him 20 games, 10 games throughout the regular season just to know he's there in the playoffs and healthy? Or would you rather him get the reps? If he gets injured, he gets injured. Just play him like you would normally play him in the regular season.
I think that's a tough question. I think he should always be on a minutes restriction, even if he's healthy. And that's just to stay smart. And I also want to say, like, I think his max potential is the third option scorer on this team, or a different contending team. When he's healthy, he has one of the best shooting forms I've ever seen. It's so insanely textbook and fundamental. And yeah, man, it's just really, it sucks because he's always injured. And we've seen it since college. And in high school, he was that 5-star, like, next
LeBron.
We've seen there's been so many next LeBrons and next Steph Curry's.
Anthony Bennett.
Dude, you bring up something interesting. Yep. Michael Porter Jr. on another team.
He's not saying he's going to be traded, but like
I know, but you said I just said he said something interesting, because you said earlier, Shu, can he even stay healthy? I don't think so. You said he can't even. You don't think it's in the realm of possibility for the Nuggets organization, like what they're thinking right now, that he'll play a full season ever again in his career?
I don't think it's the same thing with like Joel Embiid. I don't think Joel Embiid. He didn't play 82 games this year. Like I don't think Joel Embiid will ever play 82 games like in a season. Right,
but Michael Porter Jr. isn't Joel Embiid, so
they had very similar starts to their career.
Injury wise,
I'm not saying
Joel Embiid should be in the lineup.
And no, not injury wise. Did Joel Embiid have 2 back surgeries?
He had 2 foot surgeries. What?
I'm not
injuries are injuries.
I'm not a doctor.
When they happen,
they're both
all the
terrible.
Time.
You can't play basketball on either of them.
Yeah.
Like obviously the back is important for your walking, but so is the foot. Like it's one thing if like you break your wrist or break your thumb.
Well, the reason the back is bad is because it's important for everything.
But you can't play like if you have a broken foot and you need repetitive surgeries on that broken foot, it doesn't bode well.
That's not the argument I was having. I was saying
you were saying they're nothing alike. They are.
I'm saying at
similar.
This point right now, Michael Porter Jr., like what he's putting out on the floor is not the same as Joel Embiid.
That was basketball skill had nothing to do with this comparison.
Basketball still had nothing to do with the comparison.
That's the comparison. That's what I was saying is just like, hold on real quick. Because he's not.
Doug.
No, but it's to my question. It's going into my question.
Yeah. Okay. What's your question?
That I was trying to say, because he's not, if you're the Denver Nuggets, are you keeping that? Like, are you going to continue dealing with the same thing year after year with Michael Porter
It
Jr.?
depends what you're getting in the games that he does play. Because when I say he
Yeah.
won't play 82 games, that doesn't mean he's going to play
It's like
10
Zion.
every year. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, Joel
Would
Embiid doesn't play 10 every year, but he still rests on back-to-backs on occasion. He still has to deal with the load management a little bit. Like, it's not like he does
Did
as
you
much.
not-
And the more years that he's removed from those surgeries, like, you can't just assume the worst.
Did you
like-
not just say that ask Duve if they should hold him for 10 to 20 games and then, keep him for the playoffs, save him for the playoffs, basically?
Yeah, I did ask that.
That's why I asked that question.
What was your question? How is it the same?
If you have a guy who can't, if you're doing extremes like that, like only playing him like 25 games during the season because you're so concerned that you want to keep him for the playoffs, like you don't want him to be injured during the playoffs, that you don't play him except for like what,
Obviously, well, I mean, that wouldn't be
3
a
or
thing.
4 times a
like,
five.
Look at Joel Embiid's like basketball reference and look at the amount of games he played from like his rookie year. Like he missed his entire rookie year, just like Michael Porter Jr. did. And then he never really and then he missed another, like he didn't start playing 70 plus games until his 5th year in the league. And like 5 years down the line, yeah, Michael Porter Jr. might be doing the same thing. They're both on max contracts. Like Michael Porter Jr. wouldn't have gotten that max contract at all if they didn't think he's capable of being a 20 point per game guy on like 50%, 40%, like 80%.
Thank you. And that's what I wanted to ask is why the fuck are you saying that? Like, why are you even
Because
asking
this year,
if
it's
he
long
should play
term.
less games?
It's long term. It's thinking long term. Like the Sixers were giving Joel Embiid that contract too. It's
No. I'm saying why are
long-term.
why are you asking if he should play any less than 60, 70 games? If
Because
you
he's not
think that
going. Like
he's-
Joel
if
Embiid
you
did
think
not
the
do
Nuggets
that.
believe that.
Doug, because he's injury prone. That's
Because he's
why
injury
you'd rather
prone.
have
Doug, man,
your max
I
contract
don't know what you're
playing
arguing
20
here.
games
there's
than
no
playing
argument
0
to be
on the
made
And if
bench.
he
here,
has one
Doug.
more back surgery, he might be done forever.
It's like Zion.
It's playing it safe.
He's never gonna play 82 games.
You got to pick and choose.
Like you're picking the wrong battle here. Like you're like I know you're trying to be like a little.
I don't think there's a
No, I'm
battle
just
here,
cu-
it's just
I'm
devil's
confused.
advocate,
I'm
but like
curious why you were saying that. Like, I know that it is risk over, current success, whatever.
you have him
Like, I
locked up
get
for
that.
4 more years. Like if he gets hurt this season because you overworked him, like not only do you not have him for the playoffs, you don't have him probably for the duration of the next season as well. Like the reason I asked
agree,
about,
but I'm saying, so
like,
why
the
do you
hockey
want to keep
analogy-
a player? Why do you want to keep a player who can't play during the season?
because
So
I mean
far.
another team might not.
So far,
Another team won't want that because you know what he can do at his peak. Also, if he's not injured, you just might have to be more careful with him. Obviously, hindsight, they probably shouldn't have signed him to a max contract. However, at his peak, if he is playing 65 plus 70 games per season, that max contract is worth it if he's putting out the numbers you expect
so
him
you
to put
still
out.
think he can do that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
It just might not be right away.
that's
And it
It's
just might
like
not be for
Zion.
65 games. That's a fact.
Like
Be
pick
like
up this
42
conversation 3 years
games.
down the line. We're like,
Kawhi
it might
Leonard.
not be a different. It might be a
Yes.
different thing.
Just on a much lesser level. It's like
Yeah.
Kawhi. It's like
There's
Zion.
a lot of
it's like
injury-prone
Joel,
guys.
just on a lesser level.
Joel was the extreme. Like Joel didn't
Yeah.
play back-to-backs when he could have. He was just a bitch.
Well, that was the org holding him out
He
on
was-
purpose.
He was
And him
just-
being a bitch.
He was just recovering from an injury. A little
All
bit
right.
of both, maybe.
We know Michael Porter Jr. is the third option. The guy who has been the second option for the past year and a half
And he was not
is-
good at it.
is now turning into the fourth option. That's Aaron Gordon. They gave up Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a first to get him, and then locked him up long term as well.
For a
um,
bag.
Yeah, they gave him like 100 mil over 4 years, just 5 years, something like that. Like it was a good contract. as a fourth option at this point in the salary cap. But I think Aaron Gordon, MPJ, Joker got like 7 to 9 games together, and like their 4-man unit was the best 4-man unit in the NBA for those 9 games or whatever, before Jamal Murray got injured 2 years ago. So I'm very optimistic for him to return as a fourth option, as the defensive specialist, to pick up where Michael Porter Jr. can't on the defensive end, even guarding guards like we saw him guard Dame, Luca. Like he will be the primary defender on this team. And then he can also just park his ass in the dunker spot and just get fed dunks all day from Joker. So does anyone think Aaron Gordon's gets worse by getting the less role? Like, you think he's no longer
chance.
worth that $20 million?
No, I think they always signed him to that contract to be a fourth option. And I think he will be better as the fourth option. I just hope that he knows he's the fourth option, which I think he does.
I think he's gotta. I mean,
he does.
If
Yeah,
you're on,
yeah, he
if you're on
absolutely
this
does,
team,
but
if you're on this team, you got to know like Joker's
get
number
role.
1. When
Jamal's number 2.
He'll find you.
Yeah,
Joker will find you. Like, if you're open, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you will be rewarded. That's how the Nuggets have worked for the past 3 years. And when Jamal comes back, and he can carry the load like he used to, and can just take ball handling responsibilities off of Joker, even with Monte Morris, who's one of the most underrated point guards in the league, like Joker was still the primary ball handler in the offense.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he will still be handling the ball for the majority of the time on offense, but when he can just take a possession off, be a decoy, this floor spacing will be so much better, because they can't throw double teams at Joker, because then that'll leave either Michael Porter Jr. wide open in the corner, KCP wide open on the wing, or Aaron Gordon wide open for a dunk. And I didn't even mention Jamal Murray yet. So
I'm so excited for the 2-man game between Jokic and Murray. The 2-man offense.
The best part is when Jamal is the screener and Joker's the ball handler. Pick and roll.
They do everything.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
What's his
It's
face was
awesome.
talking about that the other day with Paulo. Super random, but it just made me think of that. The GM, I don't remember his name. Why can't I think of his name?
Who's GM?
Orlando's, I don't know. But he was talking about the same thing. And I think it's the same reason why Mindy, like, I think we're so excited, is because it's stuff like that. It's taking advantage of the coverages that typical NBA teams throw out against the center and just saying,
I mean,
fuck y'all.
the Nuggets used to run pick and rolls with Mason Plumlee and Joker. Back when they had Mason Plumlee, they would run the 2 center lineup. It was that those are some fun lineups. But we have still a lot to cover and not a lot of time for the Nuggets. So let's just move on to the next topic.
I'm sad
at
we
hand.
didn't get a picture of Afro Aaron Gordon when he had an afro. He looked fucking insane.
So the Nuggets own their own NBA draft pick for the first
Free
time
promo.
in a couple of years. They selected Christian Brown out of Kansas. Well, whatever. And then they also traded for the number 30 overall pick from Oklahoma City for JaMychal Green. They drafted Peyton Watson. And then they traded for like the 46th overall pick from Portland for Ishmael Kamagate.
Kamagate.
Kamagate. He had a good Christian Brown had a very mediocre summer league. He shot the 3 ball, I think, the worst out of anyone in the entire summer league. He will not have a role to begin the season. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up with a role at some point because of injuries. Ishmael, I'm not going to say the last name because I'm going to say it wrong. He actually had a pretty promising summer league. I actually liked a lot what I saw out of him. I'm going to enjoy his G League. And to talk about Peyton Watson, why don't we throw it over to JD? I know he's followed Peyton Watson for a little bit of his career, this brief UCLA stint. What can Nuggets fans expect to see out of this guy? At his peak.
You guys, I'm assuming you guys saw his highlights from the summer league. I know Shub did, but Doug and Mindy, I'm assuming.
I don't think I did.
too.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh well, he was very efficient. He put up some nice games, and he was very shifty, and he's lengthy. That's what I noticed like the most. He was really just breaking down defenders and getting to the cup. Um, but yeah, going off what Shub said, I think Braun and Kamagate are going to be in the G League. And then Peyton is going to be the one on the squad, actually.
I agree
So,
with you on that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Peyton Watson has the most likely chance of like
Yeah.
having to be
Making-
thrown in
yeah.
there and like making an impact. Like his defensive, his lengthiness, like you said, his ability is he's not scared. Like even though he doesn't lack confidence, and that's something I think Kamagate and Brown might lack a little bit that Peyton Watson has.
Yeah,
The-
Braun's going to have to get nurtured for sure.
Christian
look at him.
Braun or is
Christian-
it Brown?
It's Brown. It's Brown, but we say
Brown.
Braun.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
look at how it's spelled.
Christian Braun.
That's what I was saying. I
Christian
thought it was
Brown.
Braun.
That's
I,
Brown.
I said this in a
Whatever you wanna
previous
call it.
podcast, or maybe it was just on like a FaceTime, but I said he will never see the floor. Write it down, ship it, mark it, send it, guarantee. Charles Barkley, hammer it home.
Hammer.
Never was a fan at Kansas. You guys know that.
Rock chalk.
Miss me with that.
All right,
Oh,
let's keep going. Oh, George Carl. Oh,
Mello.
shouts out the 93-point king.
Ah,
15 shots.
So the
we
Nuggets
could
had a
go back.
very busy offseason. We obviously talked about their draft, and that included multiple trades. But to just break down their additions and losses from this year, the number one loss that you have to talk about in order to talk about the rest of the moves is the loss of Tim Connolly. They chose not to give him a pay raise. He's been their president of basketball operations for like the past 7 years. He drafted gems like Joker and MPJ, but he also drafted busts like Trey Lyles and
Yeesh.
Emmanuel Mudiay. But
Damn.
he's been the factor in their success. He walked to a division rival in Minnesota, and then Calvin Booth took over as the president of basketball ops, and he got busy. He got busy right away, and that started off number one with re-signing Joker to the Super Max. Not on here, but got to say it, Joker got the biggest contract in NBA history. So
Have
far,
to
so
tip
good.
The cap.
Yeah,
Tip the cap, everybody.
one for
I
one,
mean,
one for
just
one on that
insane.
move. His draft rose some questions to people, but that's not really what we're here to talk about. Start with the losses. As people who are watching on YouTube can see on the list, they lost their backup center, DeMarcus Cousins. They traded JaMychal Green, their backup power forward. They lost Facu, who has started a lot of games for them. They lost Bryn Forbes, who actually played in the playoffs. Austin Rivers, who was their primary defender off the bench. And then they traded to longtime Nuggets, Monte Morris and Will Barton. They lost their two-way point guard, Marcus Howard, who actually played in the playoffs a couple seasons ago, and then obviously Tim Connolly. So, Dove, who do you think is the biggest loss for out of those guys, besides Tim Connolly, player-wise?
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah,
you
not
already
Tim Connolly.
You already said the right answer.
No, player-wise, who because you could make the argument for any one of them, honestly, in one way or the other, that they are a big loss or not a big loss. So you could go either way. Who's someone they're either not going to miss or someone they're going to miss?
I think they're gonna miss Will Barton probably the most, just in my opinion.
Got KCP though.
Never mind. I think they're gonna miss Monte Morris the most.
Yeah.
I forgot about. I literally keep forgetting about that. I think I forget about that twice a week. Yeah, Monte Morris is probably gonna be the biggest loss then. I mean, you're gonna miss that competent and level-headed guard play. I know that there are other guards that are confident and level-headed for the team, but like we're talking about an 82-game season consistently. And when Jokic isn't on the floor, Monte was a really, really great, just
He was a starter.
effective point guard.
Yeah.
Very effective point guard. That's gonna be tough. Bryn Forbes was the other one I was thinking, but maybe
It was
Bryn Forbes did not have a great stint with the Nuggets. We know he's capable of playing well. Like we saw it at Michigan State. We saw it with San Antonio playing big minutes for Pop. Jack, is Facu going to be missed the most out of these guys?
Facu will be missed the most out of these
Yeah.
guys. There was
Yeah.
a point in my life where Facu was my favorite player in the NBA.
what was that
Can't-
point?
He can't
absolute-
be anymore. He's
last
no longer an
year.
NBA player.
Okay.
Oh,
right,
absolute wizard with the basketball, makes some crazy passes, some
Look
crazy.
out for him on Team
yeah.
Argentina with FIBA and this
Yep.
upcoming August.
Unfortunately, I don't think he will be back in the NBA, which is
I think that'll be sort of mutual too. I think
saddening.
Did he get a
does-
bag?
Yeah,
You got a decent contract with
For,
Yeah,
them,
he
for
right?
got a
FIBA.
bag.
For
Yeah.
FIBA.
he got a
Oh, for
bag.
FIBA, he'll get a nice contract. Yeah,
Yeah.
he hasn't signed yet, but I'm sure he will.
But I don't actually think he's the biggest loss. He was just my favorite guy
Yeah, I know.
that is gone. I think JaMychal Green might be the biggest loss because they got Ish to replace at some level what Monte Morris was, even though he's not as good. They got Bruce Brown, underrated signing, Shub always says,
Mhm.
and KCP to replace the loss of Will Barton. But now they're backup bigs. It could be better.
It's a little
It
sus.
could be
Yeah,
better.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. JD, thoughts on the
I'm
losses?
with that. I'm gonna be a little controversial here and say their biggest loss was DeMarcus Cousins.
It's probably
Yeah.
similar thinking to Jack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know how DeAndre Jordan's gonna come in.
Oh
It's
God.
gonna be interesting.
That's gonna be
And
bad.
in the small minutes that DeMarcus did get, he was really productive, and he gave Jokic an opportunity to get some rest, and that was really crucial down the stretch because, I mean, you could just see Jokic was tired, and
Yeah.
that it was a long, long season for him, and that's why he was partying very hard in his home country.
Yeah.
So he earned that, but I do think DeMarcus, he was a great asset they had this year. He was putting in work, getting technicals like he does, and just being efficient. So without him, you put in DeAndre Jordan basically as like a swap. So that'll be interesting. We know DeAndre can't really shoot, so we'll see.
And after that stint at the beginning of the season,
Yeah, I mean he's been
Yeah. He
around
looked
lately.
terrible.
Yeah. I think
not
everyone
looking good.
everyone will be missed in their own ways. I agree with you guys. The DeMarcus Cousins, JaMychal Green losses are probably bigger than any of the guards because they're getting Jamal Murray back. They're getting Michael Porter Jr. back, who's a wing. They signed Bruce Brown, who can play the 2 through 4. KCP, who can play the
Played
2
the one
and
with the
3.
Pistons too.
Yeah,
Ish.
I just you just won't play the 1 for
Yeah.
the Nuggets. Is
I know. I
kinda
just
why
had to
said
say it.
Yeah, Ish, very professional basketball player.
Also played the one for the Pistons.
Well, yeah, he's a point guard.
It was a joke.
They got DeAndre Jordan to be the big man. That was inappropriate. Dove. I think
He
you
was
know that.
also a Piston at some point.
Yes. The Pistons will be paying DeAndre Jordan $8 million this year. And then they locked up their former two-way guy Devon Reed. Shouts out the U to a long-term contract. We obviously know Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr.'s returns will have great impacts. And Bruce
What else
Brown
do they
is-
have? That's a big man. Oh,
well,
Zeke
they got
Naji.
Zeke Naji.
Okay. That's yeah.
Honestly, let's just
Questionable.
we know who's coming back. We kind of alluded. Duval was talking about DeAndre Jordan might not be a capable replacement. Talked about KCP and Ish. Let's just go right into rotations. Dove, is that cool with you, or do you want to talk?
Yeah,
about
just real quick, just
Kenneth Fareed shouts out.
these
the evolution of the Denver Nuggets?
early Denver, like
JR.
early 2000 Denver Nuggets jerseys are always going
Where's
to
Birdman?
be.
Why isn't
JR?
Birdman on here?
He's somewhere on here. Oh no, he isn't. That was a different picture. Wait,
Wow, what a choke!
hold on.
No Birdman.
JR.
No Birdman. Oh wait,
Oh,
Birdman.
there's Birdman. There's
Birdman.
go.
Told you. Oh,
Did you see
and Chauncey Billups.
Did you see Birdman at Summer League?
yeah, I did.
He was
that
there?
Was weird.
Birdman
That
was
was.
at Summer League.
That's
I don't
it.
know. That the interview was fine. You saw the interview that someone
no,
did.
I did not see the
Oh,
interview.
never
Yeah,
mind.
the interview was funny.
It was
that's about
funny.
his first tattoo and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our rotation screen. We'll see our beautiful team photo from last year. So this will kind of help refresh memory of what players they have.
Ish.
But
kinda.
I'll set it up with the Michael Malone loves to run a 10-man rotation. Even when we get deep into the playoffs, if they're in the NBA finals, they will still be running at least a 9-man rotation, probably a 10-man rotation. So for the Magic, we kind of did an 8-man rotation plus 2 guys who might see the floor on any given night. For the Nuggets, we're going to be picking out 10 guys who will 100% be seeing the floor every single night. I think our starting lineups are all the same of Jamal Murray. Obviously the healthy starting lineup of Jamal Murray, KCP, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Joker. Would anyone substitute Bruce Brown in the starting lineup for KCP or no?
Depending on what team you're playing.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
But that's an
with
easy
that.
answer. Sorry, that's a bailout answer. Never mind.
yeah,
That's a
I like
bailout.
I don't think you would.
We'll just say KCP.
KCP
Yeah,
for shooting for sure.
So I'll start us off honestly for the rotation. I think the first guy off the bench every night will be Bones. I think Bones earned his 6-man spot for them, especially with no Monte Morris. Monte Morris used to be the first man off, especially with Jamal Murray being on the minutes restriction. He will be the first one to come off the bench, like easily. We're probably gonna get Bruce Brown as the 2. Zeke Naji will relieve Joker. I think Davon Reed earned himself some minutes this year. So that's Bones, Davon Reed, Bruce Brown.
Hmm.
Did I say I like that's when it starts to get difficult? Like
Yeah.
and Zeke Naji. So that's 4. The 5th one is difficult. Because normally I'd say
You're
like
talking about
Austin
the
Rivers or
forward?
Bryn Forbes.
Is Jeff Green still on the team?
Oh, Jeff Green. It
Uncle
would be
Jeff.
Jeff Green.
Is
I think Uncle Jeff
are you
would be the
running?
10th.
Wait, who did you say? You said
Off the bench. It would be
Bones, Bruce, Zeke at the Zeke is a
Well,
4.
this is not. This
is
is
a
4
This is not.
slash
This is
5.
not. This
Yeah.
is not 2K where I'm. It's positionless basketball. Like
Yeah, I know,
Zeke
but
will be
at
coming
the
in.
same.
I don't think maybe DeAndre Jordan. Like it depends. Like
At
it
10,
depends.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
like
left out
Okay.
Ish and DJ.
Ish. I don't think Ish will be in the 10-man.
Yeah, I don't think Ish is in the 10-man either. I'm
And
not
I think
gonna lie.
Ish. I don't think Peyton's in the 10-man.
Then you got to kick someone.
Start of the
No,
season.
don't.
This is day one of
You
the.
had the 10-man
don't have
without
to
Payne
cut
in it.
anyone.
I did.
Okay, start of the
said
season.
you-
Day one,
what?
Duville. Day one, no NBA games played. Who are you running out if everyone's healthy? That's what we're saying.
The
So like
5 off the
maybe
bench.
later down
10-man
the
rotation.
season,
5 off the bench.
after some good G League games and maybe some they bring him up for a few games if someone gets injured, unfortunately. Like maybe then we can
Peyton
talk
won't.
about him being in the 10-man, Peyton in the 10-man.
I think Peyton might play if someone's in foul trouble. I think I said Peyton
Fair
might have the best chance of getting impact. That doesn't mean that he's going to be immediately impactful.
So it's gonna be like a Moses Moody.
Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga, they might play, but they're not going to be in that everyday lineup. So
I
who's
get
in
it.
who's in your everyday lineup? Would you have it? You might want Ish in your everyday lineup. I think Ish is more for the days that Jamal Murray doesn't go. You might start Ish and still bring Bones off the bench. Like, does anyone disagree with the 10-man I'm rolling out of Jeff Green, Zeke Naji,
Start
Bones,
Ish.
Bruce Brown, and
I'm
Davon
starting
Reed?
Bones over Ish. But that's
I mean,
Yeah, that's what he was. Wait.
Yeah. Well, I said you might start Ish, but
Oh.
yeah.
in the days where Jamal Murray's not there, does anyone disagree with those 5 off the bench?
No.
No.
Who are the
You said
But you
Peyton
could
Wall?
who's
swap-
3
you
to
could
5?
just
Who's 3 to 5
swap
for you?
DJ and Zeke.
Who's
mean, the-
or sorry,
the
7
top-
to
the
10?
top-
Who's
I
7
mean-
to 10 for you?
Jeff Green, Zeke Naji, and Davon Reed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Like
I would go
the other guys you have on the roster are Ish, Peyton Watson, Brown, DeAndre Jordan, flat
I
coach
would
Sean
go I don't want to
It's
say
true.
DeAndre Jordan, but
good-
like
They signed DeAndre
I'm
Jordan for a
at
reason.
least the
Agate.
first
Yeah, they
first
signed him to play him.
10 games, it's gonna be Bones, it's gonna be Bruce Brown, it's gonna be Jeff Green, Zeke, and DeAndre Jordan.
I think as much as I hate to believe it, I think DeAndre Jordan will probably be getting those 14 to 16 minutes of non-Joker minutes.
Maybe like
I-
10.
I think he might
At
get
least
10
at
or
first.
going to the
we'll
5
play
sometime.
Zeke at the 5.
Yeah. More like
Jeff
7.
Green at the 5. We'll see. I mean, Michael Malone will pull out bags of tricks. We
Yeah,
might
Jeff
see-
Green at the 5,
like,
Aaron Gordon at the 5,
We'll see a lot of different lineups.
Facu
I-
at the 5.
Let's talk briefly peak and like floor and ceiling. I think peak is NBA champions. I think floor is first round exit. I think this season they can win a championship. The Nuggets can be NBA champions this upcoming season.
Absolutely.
Quick question: is your floor
No.
basically just what we've seen? Is your floor what we've seen from the Nuggets like last year? Is that what you're saying? Like what's
Yeah,
your
first
floor?
round exit. Like
Yeah.
if they go up
Shit.
against a really good team, like in
It's just-
like the Golden State Warriors in the first round, that's a difficult team to beat. They're capable of beating them.
I think
But
their
that- it doesn't
floor
make it difficult.
is because of
Doesn't
the
make it not difficult.
injury. Because of their injury prone lineup, I think their floor is they lose in the play-in and they don't make the
Wow,
playoffs
I was just gonna say
as
that.
like a 8 seed, 7
Wow.
seed
I
type
thought-
thing.
I was
I
just
thought I
gonna
knew
say.
you.
That's
I mean, there's just a lot of really good teams in the West.
There's
A
so
lot
many
of
good
really
teams
good
in,
teams in the West.
in the NBA, just in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
Like there's very few teams. Yes, there are some teams who are going
T-Wolves this
absolutely
year,
insane for Victor
Clippers this
Wembanyama,
year,
but
Pelicans this
it's
year.
like 4.
All right.
Everyone else is competing or trying to compete or heading towards competing.
Yeah.
The
or
Nuggets have a
has
long
the-
window. They just locked up KCP. They have all their core locked up.
I like how that's how you started. They just locked up KCP.
Well, I mean, he's the new guy. He's the new
Yeah.
guy. So they had to
Everyone
lock him
else
up.
is already locked up.
Everyone else was already locked up.
Okay.
Everyone
I
else
thought
is
I
already
thought you were
locked up.
recapping. I thought you were recapping.
Well, they re-signed. They extended
recap.
Joker.
Yeah, Joker, MPJ, and Jamal are all locked up. So, and Aaron Gordon's locked up too. So the fifth guy, like they're trying to win. It might not be this year, might be next year. They have the 2-time MVP. That usually helps if you're trying to win a championship. Why not? Why not us?
What?
So
Hit me with
are
the why
you
not us.
saying
Mm,
Denver
I can tell
Championship
you about
Parade
that.
2023?
Yeah, we're all going.
2024, that's where we're
Denver.
going.
Let's go. June,
right.
June 2023. We're all going to Denver.
I'm there.
Sounds good with
Book
me.
it.
Book it,
Ship
clip it, and
it.
ship it.
But
All
Um,
right.
market.
All
That's
right.
from Shub and Shub only.
Yeah, that'll pretty much conclude our Denver Nuggets off-season preview and recap. This one felt like it was more just conversationally, just more personal to us. As you're watching this, probably tomorrow or the next day, we will have the Oklahoma City Thunder preview out. So stay tuned for that. Look out for that. Turn on YouTube notifications, podcast notifications, whatever you got to do. Keep up with us on social media at
Whatever
Hustle and
you wanna
Hoops
call
to see when we post, and potentially to have input on our next team. At Hustle and Hoops on Twitter, Hustle and Hoops on YouTube, Hustle and Hoops everywhere else, but we're not very active there. And yeah, so thank you all for listening / watching. This was a pleasure as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace.